Alright, much to the displeasure of this boy, and also this girl, I'm about to head off on my next big trip. This time I'm heading firstly to Sydney. I'll be there for a week, and the plan is to play in a couple of poker tournaments and do some sightseeing. The focus of the sightseeing is going to be concentrating on things that are very, very cheap. Sydney being such an expensive place to travel these days, I thought people might get some ideas from this. You can still do some fun things that are very, very low cost. So after that I'll be heading to the airport and meet up with my old mate Greg. We're heading to Auckland. We'll be hiring a car and heading around the North Island for a week. I haven't been to the North Island for over 20 years, so looking forward to that. Following that we'll be boarding the Pacific Explorer in Auckland and taking an 8-night cruise to Fiji with 3 ports. There's 2 reasons for taking this cruise. One is that P&O are offering incredible deals at the moment for their former customers. The 8-night cruise was a total of $250, which is just far too good to resist. And another reason is that I've never been to Fiji before, so it's another country to tick off the list. So following that I'll be heading back to Sydney, and got a few more days there with some more poker tournaments and sightseeing, and so a fair bit of poker on this trip, but it's the only chance I'll get to play this year, and I'll do a little summary at the end of the video as to how that all goes. So time to go.
Well, the first budget challenge being trip to Sydney is finding somewhere decent to stay. Metro Marlow on the corner of Pitt and Campbell has been my go-to for years. It's 1 minute's walk from the tram stops, and less than $200 a night. It's a really good option. City Extra at Circular Quay used to always be good value for breakfast. We'll see if that's still the case. Well, this is good value. Triple stack of pancakes for $12.50. Can't complain about that. This is a terrific gold photo of Circular Quay back in 1961. Here's another one from 1962. I love that on my wall at home. Beautiful shot. Well, just across the harbour from the Opera House is Admiralty House. It's the official residence of the Governor-General when he's in Sydney. And around the corner is Kirribilli House, which is the residence of the Prime Minister. Actually worked there back in the 80s when the AFP used to guard the grounds and premises. It's a pretty boring job, but incredible location. Well, the harbour's looking incredible today. Beautiful day. It's going to be in the low 30s. Well, calling it art, somebody's got a whole heap of oyster shells and stuck them on the top of poles. Just hope no one got paid for this. Alright, you can't beat this for value. I'm about to do a 90-minute walking tour of the Royal Botanic Gardens, and it's absolutely free. And today they've thrown in millions of flies, no extra charge. Well, this palm was only discovered in 2008 in Madagascar. There was only 23 in the world, and incredible palm. They only actually reproduce once in their life.
So they were on the top 100 most.
The Wallamai Gorge.
Headlands, and the Wallamai pines, the adult trees, there's about 48 adult trees.
And they're only discovered in
1994.
1994, amazing.
Only ever 48 adult trees, about 87 trees altogether. And all the seedlings were burnt, all the juveniles, they lost most of the juveniles. They got sperm from, they got pollen from San Francisco, the species from Lord Howe Island. So it produces this banya full, and in Lord Howe Island can cover like a couple of hectares, and in the end you can't actually tell which was the original trunk.
Well, next great value activity is a 1 hour tour of the Opera House, which is $43. I've gone for the option that includes lunch and a drink for $78, so that's still pretty good value considering where you are. The view from inside the Opera House. $1970s purple carpet. Well, that was a terrific tour which I recommend to anyone. Unfortunately I couldn't get any footage inside the concert hall, which was the main highlight. But a few facts about the Opera House. It came about from a competition to design an appropriate building for Sydney, and there were 200 entrants, and the winner was a little known Danish architect, Jan Utzon, and it was officially completed and opened on the 20th of October 1973, opened by the Queen. I vaguely remember that. It was entirely funded by a public lottery. I still remember the Opera House lottery tickets, and at the time it was an extremely controversial building, and but now it's a World Heritage listed and much loved building. The trams are a great value way to get around the city. The other day, using the Opal card, I caught 8 trams and the cost was under $10. So, absolutely terrific value. Alright, it's a pancakes challenge. I'll try the triple stack here and see how that compares to City Extra. The triple stack here is $10. Alright, today I'm going to be climbing to the top of the Harbour Bridge. It's $344 for that activity. You can't take your phone or your camera up because it's a safety issue, but they'll happily take a photo at the top for $50. So also last night I was abducted by aliens, and they injected idiot serum into my brain because that's the only way that I would pay $400 for that activity. It's outrageous. But there is an alternative. The southeast pylon has 200 stairs to climb to the top, and there's a museum there, and it's just $25. So of course that's what I'm doing. Alright, from the top of the pylon you can see it's not much higher to the top of the bridge. Over $300 more expensive to do that. Still a pretty spectacular view from up here. Absolutely worth the $25. Another great value option is the Manly Ferry over for fish and chips lunch. Only costs a few dollars, and it's a 30-minute trip, very scenic. Here's the famous Manly Beach. You might be tempted to bring your fish and chips down here and enjoy them. I advise against that because the seagulls are about the size of small dogs and very aggressive. Final contender in the pancake challenge is the Belgian Chocolate Cafe at the Rocks. Stepping it up a little this morning. Alright, we've got 2 pancakes with blueberries and mascarpone, and it's $20. This is Cadman's Cottage, built in 1816, one of very few buildings in Australia dating back that far. The original resident, John Cadman, was an interesting character. He was sentenced to death for for stealing a horse, which was later commuted to transport to the colony. He redeemed himself and went on to become a government employee, then becoming superintendent of the ferry boats, and had a distinguished career of 45 years in the service. Incredible story. Now this is a Wallamai pine being grown at Circular Quay. Incredible to think that this species wasn't even discovered until 1996, and makes you wonder what else is out there that hasn't been discovered. So out of interest, the winner of the Pancake Challenge was City Extra. Definitely represented the best value, and the pancakes were absolutely delicious. Oh, the Queen Victoria building is a beautiful building. Not somewhere you come and do your regular shopping because it's all high-end shops, but I admire just how magnificent the building is. And this statue of Queen Victoria was actually a gift from Ireland. Originally stood until 1947 in front of the Irish Parliament. Well, that's a big surprise. I just came down to Darling Harbour for breakfast and have found that the entire shopping complex with, I don't know, there was probably 100 odd shops here. The whole thing is gone, completely demolished. I've got no idea why, but it wasn't that old, just over 30 years ago. Crazy. Well, I can't quite believe I'm going to see this. But the reason is I got a cheap ticket, and the theatre, the Capitol Theatre, is a beautiful theatre. I've been here before, so I'll get some good shots inside regardless. I'm still in shock over the demolition of Darling Harbour. I've heard nothing about it. I've done a bit more research now, and the developer who claimed that the area was run down and in need of a makeover is putting in 350 luxury apartments. So $1 billion worth of sales, most likely. I'm sure there's no vested interests or corruption involved there. Another spectacular old building in Sydney is the Town Hall, famous meeting place, the Town Hall steps. Now, the foundation stone for this building was laid by Prince Alfred, the Duke of Edinburgh, way back in 1868. Alright, that's a wrap on Sydney for the week. Off to Auckland in the morning. Huge surprise today. I went and saw the matinee performance of Beauty and the Beast, and it is absolutely spectacular. If you're ever in Sydney, do yourself a favour, just go and see it, and you'll thank me later. It's incredible. I arrived in Auckland yesterday, made our way down to Rotorua. Big town, population 78,000, and of course Rotorua's got that horrible sulphur smell right through it, but the locals say that you get used to it eventually. Thermal pool here is heated to 36 degrees, so it's going to be a great spot later on this afternoon.
Fathers, uncles, brothers, cousins, nephews participated in those schools. On the opposite side, it reads Kia mau mahara, and this can actually be translated into many things depending on what kind of context you put it. Looks like this is a whole bunch of context.
temperature of this water is between 80 and 100 degrees, so if you did get in it, they'd have to name a pool after you.
Yeah, so he's only
This is Silver Fern. We're out in the forest doing a night tour.
Comes out with his wings, spreads around. That's it.
And these are the glowworms.
So that's his fishing lines.
Fishing lines is to
Yep.
trap the insects.
Yep,
as well?
that's right. So it's going to fly and get stuck on those sticky
And then the worm
threads.
comes down and eats the insect.
Yep, so he's right across the top of it.
Yeah.
And he'll just skid right. I can see one actually here, just above me.
Yeah.
I'll show you here. So there's an actual line runs across from the top. You can see a little bit of a light in there. That's one end of the worm. It's pretty hard to see, but that's this
Yeah.
tiny little fishing line thing in there.
Yeah. Oop. Brilliant.
Do you want me to aim up above you?
Very spectacular drive today. We're heading down from Rotorua to Wellington. This is Lake Tapau. It's the largest lake in the southern hemisphere, I believe. Snow-capped mountains there in the background. This is Mount Tongariri on the road to Wairuri, and it's a balmy 11 degrees. Well, if you're ever in Wellington, come to Napoli Pizza Restaurant. It's the best margherita pizza I've had since I was in Naples last year. And also live music here. Fantastically welcome environment. Really recommend it. Well, the scenery around Wellington is absolutely spectacular. This is on the road to Masterton. Just a light lunch at the Margraine Winery in Martinborough. What a beautiful part of the world. No backdrop. It's about 18 degrees today and not a cloud in the sky. If you've never tried the combination of dark chocolate with chilli, it's really something different. Really very nice lime chilli chocolate. The lime hits you first and then the chilli on the back end. There's a cable car that runs from the city up to the top of the hill. It's been running for 120 years. You certainly wouldn't want to be up here on a windy day though, because Wellington's known as the Windy City for a good reason. Well, next stop is Napier on the east coast, known as the Art Deco capital. Well, Napier was completely destroyed in 1931 by a 7.8 earthquake, and the subsequent fire left the city in ruins. Over 250 people were killed. There's a film at the museum they show. It's got a lot of the survivors telling their stories. Absolutely worth seeing. And it's free entry there. Here's some more good examples of the Art Deco style in Napier.
And now it's time for another travel tip segment, and for this video I'm going to talk about travel insurance. If anyone's tempted to head off without travel insurance, save a couple $100, you're completely insane. It's absolutely not worth the risk. You can't foresee misfortune, and if you were unlucky enough to get sick or have an accident in an expensive country like the US, that would be enough to bankrupt most people. The site I like to use is called comparetravelinsurance.com.au. It gives a really good range of policies. There's also an option for those that want to save a bit of money just to use the credit card travel insurance, which is complimentary. There's a couple of things I don't like about that though. There are a lot of restrictions and exclusions, so if you are going to go with that option, best to definitely read the fine print and make sure you are covered. So that's about it. Just whatever you do, just don't head off without travel insurance.